Welcome to today's show. Tucson Luxe Living features exceptional products and services for the area's top consumers, bringing together high-end real estate, business, money, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Alicia Kramer, local realtor supporting the area's business professionals with their personal real estate needs. And today we have Diana Charbonneau with us. She is the development coordinator at Impact of Southern Arizona, as well as a community connector amongst local organizations, businesses, and young professionals. And you're a busy lady. You've got a lot of stuff going on. I'd like to start, though, by talking about Impact. So tell us about the organization. Tell us what you do and what the organization does for the community.
Sure, and thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. So I'm Diana Charbonneau, and I'm the development coordinator at Impact of Southern Arizona. And we do so much, it's really hard to put all in just the one little paragraph, but we are a social services nonprofit that reinvests $2.5 million every year back into our community. We have 5 key areas that we do that. We have our food bank, our clothing bank, our senior services, such as senior meal deliveries, youth services, and then resources and referrals, which is so extensive. We cover a service area of 2 counties, Pima and Pinal. So our food bank actually serves people as far down in Sahuarita and all the way up into the Copper Corridor, Oracle, San Manuel, Mammoth. And really, we have people come from all over because of the quality of the food that we distribute, but also because of the friendliness of our staff. If you walk in our doors, you are treated just like a regular person, as you should be. And we really try to take the stigma out of coming into a food bank or an organization like ours, because especially right now, there are a lot of people out there who may need assistance. So that's kind of a high level overview. And as the development coordinator, I do our events, our donors, our community outreach, and a little bit of everything.
I know that you are a busy woman. And I know that you are very, very passionate about helping people. And you do that not just with Impact, but tell us just a little bit about some of the other areas that you are actively involved in.
Sure. So I serve on the board of directors for Junior Achievement of Southern Arizona, and that's a financial literacy organization putting education into schools, especially entrepreneurial skills. It's a big passion of mine, financial literacy. I am also the president of AAUW, which is the American Association of University Women, and we are really working to close the gender gap and really get the word out there on gender inequality. We give out scholarships to women seeking higher education. And then I also I'm the communications chair for the Emerging Leaders Council for the Tucson Metro Chamber, which focuses really heavily on mentorship. In general, I love our community and I'll help however I can.
Well, I think it's pretty evident that you walk your talk just by everything that you are very actively involved in. And you're not just like, a member of these organizations. In many cases, you're a very active leader in many respects in our community, which is absolutely awesome. So I'm very, very, very grateful to have you on. And I'm going to shift back over to Impact. You touched on some of the work that you guys do. And we're coming out of COVID, but we're still seeing some of the impacts from that. How have you seen that affect what you guys are able to do? And are you still actively bringing in volunteers? How can people step in and help?
Sure. So we did see a couple of big shifts and changes, which I think will hold going forward. It's our new normal, if you would, but our program changes, things like our food bank. We have a drive-through food bank. We'll likely keep it that way until we do our expansion, which is with the summer temperatures and as you get through the year, because it's never really cool in Arizona, will be an interesting challenge. But our clothing bank, we just had to do a lot of shifting and innovating And luckily, we really came out on top in several ways. For example, our commercial kitchen that shut down, we now partner with Stay Naked Kitchen, who provides all the meals that we deliver to our seniors. So it was a nice shift and trade-off, and we would have never done that if we hadn't had the circumstances that brought it about. And then on the other side of it is our client changes, who we have seen coming into our doors. In the past, it's always been low-income people. Again, there's that stigma that, you know, you really have to be in need, which I really don't like saying it like that, to go to Impact or the community food bank. And that's just not the case, especially right now. You know, we have small business owners who have just been struggling with business in general, getting people in the door. We have our, friends, family. It's been very interesting. People who have been furloughed, laid off, haven't been able to go back into industries. And, you know, luckily real estate is booming right now. So it's not definitely, but it's been interesting to see that people are willing to come in as well. They understand, you know, we're here to help, which is always what we have been here to do. And people were coming in just feeling emotionally stunned, if you would, because a lot of people have never experienced something like this. And we just really get everybody back on track and are able to bridge that gap to get them back on their feet and back out into the community. So we had to make a lot of changes, but I think most of them have been for the good, and our staff and volunteers have been incredible. We did struggle getting volunteers at the door, but now we're getting people back in. People are feeling hopeful with vaccinations and everything going on as they proceed forward into the future and as the years come.
I love that. I love that innovation comes out of adversity, and oftentimes there are these sort of blessings that come from all of the chaos and upheaval that we experience. And you're seeing that firsthand. And you're also, you're also seeing people who, like you mentioned, this is not normal for them. You know, there is oftentimes those stereotypes that the type of people who are reliant upon these services are, you know, somehow different. And the fact of the matter is that it doesn't matter who you are. Bad things can happen to anyone. And what I found always very inspiring is when we have some type of adversity in our lives, and it's very humbling. And then you have that experience and you come out of it a little bit better person. And it oftentimes motivates people who maybe otherwise wouldn't volunteer to really have this new passion for helping those in need, because we all go through challenging times to varying degrees. And this is a beautiful thing when people can know that there's a safe place for them and people who care, and not make them feel bad about the circumstances that they're in.
Exactly, yeah.
So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about events, because I know that events have historically been a big thing for you. And you've mentioned to me that it's been a little bit challenging to have events because of COVID. And now that we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, what does that look like in the near future?
Sure. So events for our entire nonprofit community in general, they can range from 10% or to 75% of some of these organizations' total revenue that they're bringing in. So for us, last year we were going to celebrate our 20th anniversary, and we were really excited. And I remember being really bummed out about it, but looking back on that, it's so far in the past. And I honestly think it will bring about a much bigger change, because the way we have been doing events in the past, it was such a cyclical nature. We were doing it because it's what we've been doing and everybody does it that way. And I think it really gave us a good reason to give a hard pause to reevaluate what we want to do and how we want to move forward. I saw some really incredible events. Literacy Connects did a drive-in luncheon, kind of like a drive-in movie, but it was a luncheon. And you just really saw people doing what they could, but making it a lot more fun. I'll be the first one to say I've been zoomed out over so many events. And like I mentioned before, I do see we're in a much more hopeful stage, and going forward, I see things coming out of the dark of the tunnel, if you would. I do see hybrid events being much more something that you see every day, whether it's a meeting that you're going to at the office or a large event like you would attend. So our nonprofit organizations have really been through the ringer. I know some of them, haven't been able to recover that fully, but we are still being able to do what we can. And I've just loved seeing everything that's been able to come out of it. So we did do a virtual event this year, and we are going to reevaluate for next year, because I do think there's more that we can do outside of the have it in a hotel venue space, which has kind of been our feel here in Tucson, if you would.
Yes, I think that there's certainly more opportunity for the virtual side of things. And we've seen it with all of the networking and everything too. It is a little bit uncomfortable for some people. And then for other people, it actually allows for more inclusion, because not everybody can get to those types of events, and not everybody wants to be in those types of events, but you're catering to a larger demographic. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I agree. Oh, you're muted, or I think you got muted.
I saw it. And I think back to what I used to do in a week span of how much I drove, where I was going, the meetings that I had all over. And I do think that is one of the really positive things, because I can have a Zoom call for a 15-minute meeting instead of driving across town. And I have an almost 2-year-old now, so she grew up during the pandemic, if you would. And so it's been interesting to just I'm going to do a Zoom call for that, or this and that, and really prioritizing your time, because the reason I get so much done is I organize my time and I manage my time. And that's really what it's given us the opportunity to do, is take advantage of that and optimize where we want to be, what you really want to do and what you don't want to do. You can make a choice between that.
Let's talk for a little bit about how people can participate, how they can volunteer, how they can donate, and a little bit about the tax incentives for doing some of these things.
Sure. So let me actually start with the tax credit, because here in Arizona, we have the Arizona Charitable Tax Credit. And a lot of people don't know that you can get dollar for dollar back on your state taxes, up to $400 if you're an individual, and up to $800 if you file married. And of course, talk to your local tax professional. I am not the professional, but it's a way to redirect those dollars into our community. And that is really the big focus, because I know so many people give back, they donate, and they don't even realize they can take advantage of that. So there are QCOs they can donate to, qualified charitable organizations. There's also schools in town that you can donate for tuition, and that'll come off your state taxes. So feel free to reach out with questions. As far as impact goes, we definitely need more volunteers in our clothing bank and in pretty much all areas, especially coming into summer at the moment, but all seasons in Tucson have a weird variety of people coming and going, if you would. So we could definitely use more volunteers. And our website is www.impactsoaz.org. That's impactsoaz.org. And there you can reach out to us to volunteer, to donate. And really, it's the little things for all nonprofits across the board. If you like a post that they put up, if you share it to your page, honestly, some of the best connections and relationships that I have made have come out of a post that I posted on Facebook saying, hey, this organization is looking for people, and people want to help. Given the opportunity, most people would like to help their neighbors. And so we've just been so blessed to be able to have that support of our entire Southern Arizona community. And if you are somebody who'd like to get involved, I'd be happy to connect you to any aspect. There's a lot of different ways to get involved.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about how you're involved in some of these other things, and you are out there in the community helping in a lot of different ways. So obviously impact is something that you're very passionate about and committed to. there's other ways that people can connect with you and ways that they can support the community as well. So maybe talk a little bit on some of that as well.
Sure. So along the lines of the social media and sharing, when you hear of something, for example, there's a local organization called Native, and they help children who have lost a family member, some due to cancer, lost a family member due to death. And they're one of my, passion nonprofits. I will talk about them whenever I have the chance, because not a lot of people know that it exists. And as soon as you hear about it, you obviously would help, or if you knew somebody who was experiencing that loss, you would send them that way. And it's really about that, creating those connections for our local organizations. There are multiple organizations that do not exist right now because of the last year that we had. Going forward, we need that support of the entire community to make sure that that doesn't happen. There are the arts, especially at the moment, are suffering, that could really be supported. And as events are slowly getting open, that will help and assist in that. And we've been able to see some great things come out of it. Performers and singers and artists that I would have never heard of, that I got to watch on a really awesome display, and they had things going and they were moving back and forth, so you could see all these different things happening which you might not have known about. So in general, just to spread the message of the organizations you do know, take a minute to Google something you're passionate about. I have people approach me all the time and say, well, I don't know what I should get involved in. I say, well, what do you like? And like, well, I don't like people. I'm like, you don't have to like people. Do you like animals? There's Team Animal Care Center. I love PAC and the Humane Society of Southern Arizona. I'm an animal person. If you're not an animal person, if you're not a people person, there's the environment. There's just so many different things that you can get involved in.
Yeah, absolutely. And you should get involved in something that feels good to you. It really is a win-win. So I love that you kind of bring that, to the surface for people, because not everybody thinks of that. And I remember it was a few years back. My husband was saying to me, I really feel like I want to do something. I really do feel like inspired to volunteer. And he's one of those people. He's not really like a big people person. So that was his whole, objection to it. Like, he felt torn. And I kind of just planted that seed, there's other things that you can do. You just have to find the thing that feels right for you. And we need that. As human beings, we're givers, and you've got to have that. You've got to have that in your life. You have to be able to give and contribute, because it just makes you feel whole.
I agree. And one thing that I thought of when you said that is, most people think of giving with dollars, which obviously we could all use dollars, and you are welcome to donate, but that passion and your time is honestly sometimes more valuable. When you are passionate about something and when you walk that dog for that hour, you are the light of that dog's life. When you meet with a student at a high school that you're mentoring who's been struggling because they come from low income and have been told that they can't succeed, and you know that they can, and you see them go on to graduate, go to college, and do all these things, that is far more impactful sometimes. And it's really just the little things.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I would say that it does feel nice to be able to give financially, but it is so much more rewarding to give of your time and your energy, and to feel the appreciation of the receiver. There's nothing else that can compare to that. And certainly there's value in both. So before we wrap things up, I always love to just take a moment and give you an opportunity to share any final thoughts, anything that you feel inspired to say to our listeners.
Awesome. My favorite part, no, really, I just love to convey that we all can make a difference together. together we give each other hope. And when you see a story about something that somebody did giving back, it makes you want to. How many times have you seen something, oh, somebody paid for my Starbucks, so I paid for the car behind me. Well, why didn't you pay for the car behind you first? You really, it's seeing that act and exponentially spreading that hope, if you would. So whether you are just working your day to day and you don't think that there's anything out there for you, I really encourage you to get involved. I lived in Tucson all my life and did not know anything that was here. I went to school in DC, I volunteered, I lobbied on Capitol Hill for nonprofits that I had never heard of. I read to kids in low-income schools that never had their own books. I saw things I never had experienced that I would have experienced here. And when I came back, I thought, oh, that's not here. And it is everywhere I turn and everywhere I look. And that is essentially the last about 15 years of my life, if you would, is making those connections, getting involved, saying yes. When you can, don't overload yourself. It might happen. Take care of yourself, because then you can take care of others. But there's just so much to get involved in here locally. And I really encourage you to give back, whether it's mentoring somebody that you know, giving back your dollars, giving back your time, or even just sharing that Facebook post. We would all really appreciate it.
I love that. What would you suggest people do to connect with you? I know you mentioned the website, you can mention that again, but any other ways that people could maybe get in contact with you directly, or any of the other organizations that you are a part of?
Sure. So again, our website for Impact of Southern Arizona is www.impactsoaz.org. And I'm happy to give my personal email, which is essentially my name before it, Diana, DIANA, at impactsoaz.org. Personally, I will meet with anybody and I will try to set you on a path, but there are resources out there. If you're looking for a nonprofit, you can, Google is honestly my best friend, but the Community Foundation of Southern Arizona has vast lists of all of the organizations in town. We also have networking groups. We have our philanthropy groups. So if you'd like to reach out and connect with me personally, I can set you on a path, or you can look up some of our organizations. We have the Girl Scouts, we have Fox Tucson, we have all of the animal rescues. We have countless animal rescues in Tucson. There's environment, we live in the desert. There's a lot of things that happen here you wouldn't realize. So there's just so many more that I could go on and on about. So feel free to reach out to me personally or through those resources.
Awesome. Awesome. I want to thank you so much for being with us and sharing your passions. It has been very inspiring, and I really hope that a few people take it to heart and maybe just, one small step, right? One small thing that you can do, even if it just starts with, being nice to people. There is a bit of a shortage of that, and people have been stressed and they've been scared. And just be nice, be nice and go out there and spread some good vibes and reach out to Diana and do your part. Just all it takes is a little bit of kindness. A little bit can go a long way. So thank you, Diana, again.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you having us this time.
It is my pleasure. And thank you, everybody. Please make sure you subscribe. We have so many amazing guests, and we're really just trying to do our small part to connect businesses, connect consumers with the area's really amazing products and services. And it's not just about commerce, right? It is about being a good person and being a good member of this community. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.